Good day, my name is Alan Palmer, St. Vincent and the Grenadines' favorite and most hated son, the diaspora machismo. There's a video I would like for you to take a look at from the Brevard County in Florida, where sheriff deputy had a confrontation, literally a shootout, with a gunman. I want you to look at this video and give me your honest opinion as to whether the sheriff deputy acted in accordance to law and procedure in this case.
Dramatic new body cam video just released of an armed ambush on a pair of sheriff's deputies from Brevard County, Florida. A warning, it is video that could be disturbing to many viewers. Bullets fly when a pair of Florida deputies are suddenly ambushed. It all started with a traffic stop. Deputy Tyler Toman talking to a woman while another person rests against the trunk of the sedan. A second deputy, Brian Potters, approaches the vehicle and inside sees a third adult and a baby, and also a dog in the back seat. He makes small talk about his own kids and asks the adult to get out of the vehicle.
He wants to talk to you. Is that all you're? Yeah. I'll watch it for you. He's all right. I got babies. Oh, you got a dog too? Hell. I'll make sure they're all right. I got babies too, man.
That's when the car door opens and all hell breaks loose. More than 61 bullets fired in less than a minute. The man with the assault rifle hit in the leg, and Deputy Brian Potters shouts out he's been hit. Deputy Potters disoriented, not realizing the gunman is right behind him. The gunman hammers Potters in the face with the butt of his rifle, and when Potters goes down, the gunman keeps beating his face, fracturing his sinus and orbital bones. Deputy Tyler Toman drops his spent clip, quickly reloads his gun before unloading it at the man attacking Deputy Potters.
Let there be no doubt, this individual got exactly what he deserved. And to those out there who might be foolish enough to ask why we shot him so many times, that answer is simple: because evil can never be dead enough.
The Brevard County Sheriff says the man who attacked the deputies was 38-year-old Paris Wilder. The sheriff calling him a violent career criminal with a long history of crimes, including drug trafficking, aggravated assault, battery on a law enforcement officer, and attempted murder. Wilder was out on bond at the time of the attack.
Now that you have viewed this video, do you think that the sheriff deputies acted appropriately in this case? Let us take a few moments and examine police practices, the law, and the content of this video to determine whether or not the sheriff deputy acted in accordance to law and whether or not they went outside of the law and somebody should be held responsible for the death of this young man. What you must consider here is this incident started as a result of a traffic stop. It is important to note that when there is a traffic stop, the police who is conducting the stop has the right to detain the driver and the driver only. The police only have power over the person who committed the infraction, which would be the driver of the vehicle. The police do not have any lawful authority to detain any other occupants within the vehicle. And according to law, a detention should not last longer than it would take the average police to run a warrant check on the person who he have detained and to write him the appropriate ticket, which would take about only up to 15 minutes maximum. And therefore the officers only have the authority to give instructions to the driver, who must therefore comply with the instructions because they have probable cause to detain the driver for a traffic infraction. On a traffic stop, the officers does not have any lawful authority to search the vehicle, to run warrant check on any of the other occupants in the vehicle, or to even instruct the other occupants of the vehicle to disembark that vehicle. However, if the officer saw a gun, drugs, or other known contraband in the vehicle, they can now detain everyone in the vehicle, instruct them to disembark the vehicle to carry out the search. That means they now have probable cause to detain the occupants of the vehicle. Without any additional probable cause, the police officer who are conducting a stop of a vehicle because of a traffic violation does not have any reason to detain or to instruct the other members within the vehicle. When the video started, we saw there were 4 people outside of the 2 vehicles that were in view of the camera. There were 2 sheriff's deputies, Taylor Tillman and Brian Potter, and 2 civilians. From this scene, we can tell that Taylor Thurman is the lead investigator in this traffic stop. Brian Potter is the support in the traffic stop. Therefore, Deputy Thurman would have been the one who would have approached the vehicle, demand the driver's license, insurance, and registration from the driver of the vehicle, and may have very well asked the driver of the vehicle to step out of the vehicle and come over to the cruiser because he felt safer dealing with the suspect away from their vehicle. From being an experienced police officer, when Mr. Thurman approached the vehicle and demanded driver's license, registration, and insurance, he would have taken a view of everything that was happening in the vehicle. He would have made a mental note of how many people were in the vehicles and if there were anything suspicious about the people within the vehicle. However, because a traffic stop only gave him the authority to detain the driver, to run a warrant check, and to issue the relevant citation, he did not have any authority to instruct the other occupants of the vehicle to disembark the vehicle. That's why he did not ask them to disembark. There is a man leaning on the trunk of the vehicle. We can conclude from understanding police practices and the safety issue that this man came out of the vehicle on his own free will. If he was detained by the police and he was asked to disembark the vehicle, the police would not have allowed him to lean on the trunk of the vehicle in the manner in which he was leaning. Criminals carries their heavy artillery on the trunk of the vehicle, and if he were detained and were going to be violent and had a rifle in his trunk, what would have stopped him from opening the trunk of the vehicle while both officers' attention was taken from him and shoot both of them? So we can conclude, second civilian who was standing outside of the vehicle were not detained and came out the vehicle on his own free will to get a closer view. The civilian who were detained by the police officer is not in handcuffs. It is important to note that apart from having a limited amount of time where a detention should take place, which means just enough time for a warrant check and a ticket to be issued, the police does not have any lawful authority to put a detained person in handcuffs unless they think that person pose a threat or a danger to themselves or to the police officer. If there is no present threat, the police has no authority to put anyone who they detain in handcuffs. If the person who is being detained looks irritated, is showing signs of anger, is shouting or using expletives, you can now lawfully consider that this person might be a safety hazard and put him in handcuffs until you have issued that citation. Here we see Deputy Potter, who was vacant while his partner issued a citation, was aimlessly walking about in the vicinity of the civilian car. Here he discovered there was a third adult occupant in the vehicle, along with a child and a dog. Now what we must consider, due to the fact that Deputy Potter was unaware of the third adult male occupants of the vehicle, it does not mean that he was not known to his partner, Deputy Taylor Thurman. Deputy Potter's new discovery does not change the law and give him the authority to detain the male in the vehicle. We must conclude that in speaking to the third occupant of the vehicle, Deputy Potter was very kind, he appeared to be friendly, and he appeared to be helpful.
Is that all your... Yeah. I'll watch it for you. He's all right. I got babies. Oh, you got a dog too? Hell. I'll make sure they're all right.
But what we must conclude here, Deputy Potter was neither kind, helpful, or friendly. He was what you call being passive-aggressive. He was appearing to be kind, friendly, and helpful, while in the process violating the rights of the third person and breaking the law in doing so, by detaining him without any lawful authority or without any probable cause. Here we see Deputy Potter, in his kind, friendly, and helpful mannerism, were actually breaking the law and violating the rights of the third person by detaining him without probable cause. Up to this point, neither the deputy or the civilians who are involved in this traffic stop were in danger. But you may ask, how can you say that neither the police officers or the civilian who were involved in this traffic stop were in danger and the man had a gun in his vehicle? If the presence of a weapon does not create a dangerous situation. Here we see Mr. Paris Wilder, the third person in the vehicle, was making excuses not to have his rights violated. However, Deputy Potter insisted that he is going to detain Mr. Wilder even without probable cause, which is a violation of Mr. Paris Wilder's rights, and the deputy would be breaking the law in so doing. It is not until Deputy Potter physically attempted to open the door to take out Mr. Wilder from the vehicle that he created a dangerous situation for himself and for his partner. I am not saying that Paris Wilder was right in shooting at the deputies. However, Deputy Potter aggravated what could have been a run-of-the-mill traffic stop into a violent shootout, which resulted in the death of Paris Wilder.
He reloads his gun before unloading it at the man attacking Deputy Potters.
I want you to bear in mind that the video that was released by the Brevard County Sheriff's Department was edited, and it was edited to accomplish a particular narrative that the Sheriff's Department is trying to put forward to the public. However, let us examine the shooting of Paris Wilder. There are some things that I want you to take into consideration. The first of which is, the last time we see Paris Wilder alive, his back was turned to the rear of the vehicle. And therefore, it appears that when he was shot in the back. Therefore, they blurred that area to ensure that the video would be able to be viewed by all without any psychological trauma. When we consider the core value by which law enforcement authority operates are: 1, to protect life and property; 2, to prevent the commission of a crime; 3, to detect crimes when they were committed; and 4, to prosecute offenders. There is no law, city, county, state, or federal law that gives any law enforcement agencies or personnel the right to kill anyone. No law whatsoever. Their main objective is to protect life and property. And therefore, when an officer uses deadly force on any member of the community, they are forced to justify their actions. The standard at which justification must come is based on: was the action of the police was that of what is considered a reasonable person? Here is what we know so far. 1. Deputy Potter was in the process of breaking the law and violating Paris Wilder's rights. Let me make a disclaimer here, lest I send the wrong message. I am not justifying Paris Wilder's action in this whole scenario. I'm just stating the facts as they are. 2. During the course of the shooting, Paris Wilder was injured. He was shot what appears to be in his lower extremities.
More than 61 bullets fired in less than a minute. The man with the assault rifle hit in the leg, and Deputy Brian Potter shouts out he's been hit.
3. Paris Wilder was out of ammunition, and therefore it rendered his high-powered rifle useless, which caused him to use the rifle as a club. Deputy Potter was in danger of being physically injured, but there was no immediate threat to life. And the last time we saw Paris Wilder alive, his back was turned to the rear of the police cruiser. Some other things we must also consider are police officers are trained personnel. They specialize in the protection of life and property. Because of their training, they are expected to be able to function rationally under high-pressured situations. Please listen to the reckless, irresponsible, insensitive, and unprofessional remarks of the police public relations officer. The words of the police public relations officer.
This individual got exactly what he deserved. And to those out there who might be foolish enough to ask why we shot him so many times, that answer is simple. Because evil can never be dead enough.
Was designed to invoke prejudice against the deceased man. The objective was to take away sympathy from Paris Wilder, to invoke sympathy on behalf of the deputies, and to silence anyone who would want to question the excessive use of force by Deputy Thurman. The words of the Sheriff Public Relations Officer were irresponsible, reckless, insensitive, and highly unprofessional. Let me ask you, the viewers, a simple question. Do you consider yourself a reasonable person? Taking all things into consideration, including the violent tirade by Paris Wilder with a high-powered rifle against law enforcement officers, putting yourself in Deputy Thurman's place, would you have acted as Deputy Thurman acted?
Let there be no doubt.
If you say yes, then Deputy Thurman's action was justified. But if you say no, there needs to be an investigation because he did not act as a reasonable person is expected to act under the same situation.
Let there be no doubt.
Let me know what are your opinions in the comment section.
Let there be no doubt.
And if you enjoyed this video, then I would like for you to share this video.
Let there be no doubt.
My name is Alan Palmer, St. Vincent and the Grenadines' favorite and most hated son, the diaspora machismo.